LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. This is Gav, Keith, and Seany. It's no transfer knowledge, but in all honesty, it's about Alexis Mac Allister. We're going to do an hour or so here, and we're going to talk about Alexis Mac Allister. Who else? Manu Kone. We're going to talk Kefram Turam, and the lad off Celta Vigo, Gabri Vega. And the reason we're late, 6 or so minutes late, is because we were talking about Gabri Vega's name and what it sounds like he comes from. I reckon Street Fighter, or maybe a dance classic from around 2004. The sound is the summer, as he will put it. Seany, you've muted yourself. I'm just going to let you know that before we move on. So, welcome to the show. If you're watching, which I presume, you are, if you can see this, subscribe, comment, and like, and turn on your bell notification. Every time we go live, you'll know about it. Let me see if I can just make Seany come in here. I'll sort it for you now, Seany. So, Alexis Mac Allister, looks like the deal is done for Alexis Mac Allister around. You're unmuted, Seany. If you unmute yourself by pressing that bell in your hand by the looks of it. So don't touch anything.
That one.
That one there, yeah. That one there, yeah.
Don't press it again, you'll mute yourself.
Did you rob that out of a hotel?
I robbed it out of Phil Schofield's dressing room. I don't know what he used it for, but I don't know what he was using it for, but he doesn't need it anymore. I heard he got made redundant.
I was about to say, I don't know if you can say that, but you have, so we just keep going.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't say anything. He'll tell you what's risque and put out there, and I'm sure you haven't got the wokies on you. I just noticed in the title that the only reason Mbappe potentially stayed at PSG is because croissants. Like 2023, some might see that now as xenophobic. Just letting you know that.
Or some sort of subliminal message. Little do amazing croissants, by the way, so we could be moving to the League of Ireland, for all we know. By the way, the bakery in Little Lads, we should actually talk about that one. It's absolutely fantastic gear, isn't it? But anyway, we better get on to Mac Allister because people give out when we talk about referees or anything that's not football. So here we go.
I love all the boys sending us the timestamp over what I said. Get a grip, will you?
Alexis Mac Allister, Brighton player as of right now, but won't be for very long. It looks like a deal. It's a done deal. Agreed with Liverpool. Contract's already been agreed. Medical underway apparently, or has been done today. And he will become a Liverpool player in the next. Unless we get something in the next half an hour. I think you'll probably see an announcement on this tomorrow. Keith, we've spoken about it for weeks. We've spoken about it while the season was going on, and we touched on him when he was playing throughout the season. It's heated up over the last couple of weeks since the season's ended, but now it looks like, despite many guesses from many people as to how much it will cost, the figure looks like coming in around £55 million for Alexis Mac Allister, and that looks like it was something in his contract that he signed pre-World Cup. But it's the first signing of the summer. I think it might be the biggest signing of Liverpool's summer, for numbers wise, Great British pounds or whatever, but it's a really good start to the window, Keith, in a window where we need to do 3 midfielders. I think is the popular number being floated.
Yeah, it's a great start. We've waxed lyrical about Alexis Mac Allister on here before and what he's going to bring to Liverpool and what he's going to bring to the team. And the more and more you hear about it, the closer it gets. Look, you don't want to count your chickens, but count your eggs before they hatch or whatever. But videos of him going in for a medical and all. You've everything coming out seemingly that the medical is being done now, and that lets you believe that the deal has already been done and concluded. Obviously, with a release clause, you don't have to agree a deal, but you're hearing about Brighton respect him so much, they're not going to stand in his way, and he's such a great guy, a great character. It's just everything about this fella coming to Liverpool is just getting me a little bit saucy, I have to say. I just think he's going to be brilliant for us. I think he's going to be an absolute he's just going to be a little metronome in the midfield, and I can't wait to get him in. I think he'd be the biggest signing for the summer, and even if I thought, is it definitely 55 million? Because your man Fabrizio Romano saying way less than the report.
Well, Fabrizio Romano has said in the past couple of
place.
months, I think he said 70, 60, below 60, below 50, 40.
Yeah.
He's every number going.
The only one who's reporting 55 million is that fucking Naylor who on.
Well, sorry. Let me ask you about this then, Shawnee, right? Because you put up a tweet earlier saying,
Andy, I'm going Tenerife. He tell you he's going to 11 That's the type of bloke he is.
Well, Chris Bragg asked the question: has anyone told your man Andy Naylor of the Athletic that Mac Allister is leaving Brighton because he's in for a shock otherwise? Shawnee tweeted this morning. Can someone light a candle for Andy Naylor? Absolute mad sayings, like he's just sitting there, complete denial, fingers in the ears, blah 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 blah. Unbelievable stuff. 38 million.
I mean,
it's being touted as
them numbers are going down. Like, that's an outrageous deal. So, I don't think he may not even be the biggest money outlay signing, but he's going to be the big signing because he's just going to bring so much to the table. Well, the other boys that were being linked with, and we will talk about, are bringing different qualities and are younger players. This fella, we spoke about, Shawnee has said this many times, Liverpool lack enablers in the midfield to allow the team to play. This fella is an enabler. Do you know what I mean? This fella enabled Messi to go and win his World Cup because he went in and done all the blatant grunt work for him and done all the donkey work. The thing I like about Alexis Mac Allister, he's a very shy, introvert person. He absolutely hoovers up pressure, not a bother to him. Do you know what I mean? He has blatant cojones the size of watermelons, this fella. So I can't see any negatives to this deal. And the more I see that price coming down, stop. It's the best deal of the summer, this one.
Red Board says deal is 38 up front with 7 million add-ons. His release clause was 45 million. There's a couple in the chat there saying it's well below 55 million. Look, I've seen 55. I'm seeing 45 now. I've seen 73 weeks ago. I'm sure when it comes out, it'll be announced as to what the deal will be. Liverpool usually do we've signed them on a long-term contract, but it always comes out. The best place to check is lfchistory.net. They always have the right numbers, in fairness to them. Johnny, do you want to ring that bell and make a comment, is it?
Yeah, hold on. I'd imagine it was Liverpool who was putting that 70 million stuff out into the ether to kind of keep the smell off the potential bargain it was, because I reckon if the likes of City or United had got Chelsea, get if they get air of that early on, obviously, like, you find, I'm not being funny, and I don't think it's naive to say this. Like, this could be a case where fucking Lallana turned around and said to someone, you know what he has in his contract, and Liverpool make it. We done it with Luis Diaz. Remember, we waited for Sports to. If teams like City get wind of that early, how cheap that deal is, they're doubling the wages he's getting off us now, because they're like, right, listen, if it's 35, 40 million, we can give this fella 300 grand a week. And look, as much as you'd want to play for Liverpool, you make it really, really difficult for him to say no. So I think Liverpool have boxed really clever here in terms of getting this one done and boxed off. And it looked like to me that it was just put it out there that it's X amount, because the one thing I'll say about this whole Mac Allister thing dragged out, whatever about ITKs and all, but the news was always consistent. It was always, this is what it's going to take, and Liverpool are in talks and they're advanced, and the closer and closer it came to being done, it sort of peeled back, and we were saying it wasn't just it's below 60 million. It ended up being it's way below 60 million. So it might be deal of the summer. We spoke the other night about marquees and that. I think that it's possible that we spend more money on a player in this window than we have on Mac Allister. And that that speaks volumes on how good of a deal we've gotten here.
Yeah, I think when you look back, like, you know, like I've seen someone, I think it might have been Jono said there, like, you know, a couple of weeks ago, Alexis Mac Allister was class, and now he's signing for Liverpool, and he's not that good. You get that all the time, but you know, I don't really want to go into what he's cost. You know, is he a £70 million player? I don't know, right? But his mate that plays with him, Saicedo, is considered a £70-80 million player. I think Saicedo is an animal. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But I don't think Mac Allister's far off when you look at the numbers Mac Allister's done in that Brighton midfield this season for minutes played, goals, assists, you know, set piece, all that sort of stuff. And you know what? Some fans out there might be going, you know, oh, we could have signed such and such and, you know, £70 million. But I think it's just a really good deal. I think, to be quite honest with you, he could have left Brighton this summer for free if he hadn't signed that deal pre-World Cup. Yeah. And if he was on like a longer term deal coming into that World Cup, he probably would cost you £70 million, and he might be worth it. But I think whatever he signed here last November or December, there has to be something in it where there's a clause there for X amount from a certain club. And if you look at it, what are you laughing at? Red Steve. Okay, right. I don't really want to go into that Red Steve at the minute, not after the last time. But you know, like if he 3 years to go before that World Cup, Brighton would have been in a much stronger position to go, well, if we want 70 and 80 for, so I say that we want 70 or 80 for a thing. And sometimes you look at the amount spent and you say, oh, that, you know, look at the money we spent. Liverpool, if it's 45 to 55 million, I think Liverpool have pulled off a brilliant deal here. I think he's worth a hell of a lot more, but I think they've pulled off a brilliant deal. They may spend more money on a player this summer. They may do, but I don't know if you're going to get as good a signing as that. Bar probably Bellingham. I don't think you're going to get as good a midfield signing for that, for the whole package. 45 to 55, 24 years of age. I think he is World Cup winner. You look at the performance he's putting in for Brighton and the type of stats coming out from the goals, assists, free kicks, penalties, whatever it might be. He fits absolutely perfectly. Seany, he's going to play for Liverpool. He's probably going to get the number 10 shirt, which is a huge shirt at Liverpool, probably second only to the number 7. He's going to play. He's going to be a first choice player, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
We'll talk a little bit in a while as to who's next to come in and maybe play beside him or be in a midfield group with him next season. But what do you want to see from Alexis Mac Allister next season?
Just more, like Keith said, an enabler, like an absolutely brilliant World Cup he has. I remember we done a show. I think there was a crowd called 5 Yards going around a long time ago, and Keith was there marking players, and he did talk about Mac Allister. Since then, you kind of look, it catches your eye, an Argentinian fella called Mac Allister anyway. But when you look at him and see what sort of player he is, he's been absolutely brilliant at Brighton. And when you hear Lallana speak about him the way he did, it's a glowing reference from a player I'd consider a top pro, Lallana. So I don't think you can get higher price than that really in terms of who's talking and what he's talking about. So the thing I love about Mac Allister is he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. I'd imagine Klopp will have exactly what sort of idea he's going to do with him. In terms of, he could be a mobile 8, he could play in the 10, or I could even see him playing in a double pivot beside Fabinho, because his ball retention is brilliant and his ball handling is brilliant, and he's great in duels. And we've seen him at the World Cup, like, he doesn't start the first game and then he's in and then he's not back out, you know what I mean? And he's fucking, like Keith said, eats pressure. He's kind of like, just kind of dead to all sorts. It doesn't matter what game it is, he's just going to play his game and impose himself. And that's exactly the type of the player we need. And again, another thing you need to think about, and I know people dispel this and call it bullshit, it's the character as well, you know what I mean? Like the type of person he is around the dressing room, like Keith said, humble, like nothing to, like the story of Messi turning around and telling the other players in the Argentinian team not to be calling them ginger until, you know what I mean? Sort of like the runt of the letter in a way, but just a lovely fella with like all the ability in the world. I genuinely do. Like, I think this is an absolutely fucking brilliant signing. We spoke the other night. He could easily get into City's 11, so he's good enough to play for us. So
Exactly.
I'm super excited by Mac Allister. There's so many strings to his bow. The technicality, the physicality. So people say he's one paced and that, but you can be one paced if you have technical ability, and that's no problem really. You know, it's not a big issue. He's a set
Luka
piece taker.
Modric.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's Lallana actually referenced Modric when he was talking about Mac Allister, and like that's fucking huge for us. And I think he gives us exactly what we needed and sort of what we missed since Seany went. We've seen the difference a ball carrier can make to this team with the few little flashes we've seen of Gakpo behind in the 8 in terms of someone who can carry the ball through midfield, who's physically. And I think it's an absolutely brilliant signing. I think, like I agree with what you said. It's possible we might spend more money on a player this summer, but I don't think we'll acquire a better signing in the window, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think this is a brilliant kill for Liverpool because this is a fella who easily in 4 or 5 years, when he's 28, 29, could be playing for Madrid, could be playing for Barcelona. And I think that's the perfect thing about Liverpool. We're not really a stepping stone, but if you win trophies with us here, it's more than likely you'll stay, you know. And I love this bit of business. Honestly, I'm so happy with it. I was happy for us to do the deal at 70 million. I'm delighted for us to do it at fucking almost half the price. Seriously, it's a phenomenal bit of business, and you can thank George or Julian Ward or however you like, but the recruitment team deserve massive props. I think it's the first one in the door that's badly needed, and if this is the benchmark, I feel come August, come kick off, we'll be all right.
Keith, Seany describes him as a Swiss Army knife. And I'm going to be honest with you. First time I heard about Alexis Mac Allister was you talking to me around those shows we done for 5 yards a couple of years back. But when I watched them in the World Cup, and then when we were linked to them tentatively, you know, when the January window was kind of over and people were kind of putting his name towards Liverpool, the big thing for me was, while watching Liverpool at the same time, was this fella gets stuck in. He moves around the pitch really fucking well, right? He's not afraid to tackle. He's good on the ball. He protects the ball. He's so, selfless in what he's doing for it. Like what he done for Messi in that World Cup was ridiculous. Him, De Paul and Enzo Fernandez. And I just see now, Keith, as when they talk the goals and the assists and the set piece stuff, I see that as a bonus. Because what I wanted in Liverpool's midfield was somebody to come in, right? And I hasten to say, to do what Jordan Henderson used to be able to do, right? Yeah. Is get in there, high tempo, win the ball back, get it to players, that can affect the game. And I thought, when I seen this fella Mac Allister, I was like, he would fit, because he's well able to do all that. We've seen it in an Argentinian team under massive pressure in a World Cup. He showed up every 3 and 4 days and just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And now you're seeing the creative side of his game where you're going, fuck, he has that as well. You know what I mean? Because I want Liverpool to go back to a midfield where I love silky footballers. I love fellas that can stroll around the place. Is a Dan that can play there. Like I love players like that can control the midfield by just being a Thiago, that can just control it by just being an exceptional footballer. But most of me wants us to go back in and go back to what we were. There's no problem with going back to what we were and looking to the future with it, because it was brilliant at what we done and no one could deal with it. And he seemed to sit perfectly in that, Keith. But talk to me about, he just seems to be the whole package. And I'm not just saying that because we're on the verge of signing them or have them signed. From what I've seen and learned about him, the whole creative stuff is just genuinely a bonus to me. Everything else is what I think we need from that player. But we're getting a bit more by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Seany said it, and I said it previously. He gets into any team in the league. Do you know what I mean? This fella could play for anyone. Tell me a team who he's not getting into. So you're getting top quality there. And when you look at the Argentinian stuff, he doesn't play against Saudi Arabia. He had played in a few of the warm-up games before that. But he gets brought in, and the difference in Argentina, now it's not just him, but I think it is fundamentally him coming in, because Messi's able to play off him, you know, and it's a big deal that Messi is able to play off a player, and the trust that he has in him, which to me says this fella isn't just some sham. Do you know what I mean? He's not just some water carrier. Like, he's able to get out there and he's able to play ball. Messi's comfortable with him doing it. And again, we go back to it. The pressure on that Argentina team to win that World Cup, not only forget about just generally the pressure of every World Cup in Argentina, but Messi's last World Cup. Do you know what I mean? To get one for him, they lose the first game and he comes in. That to me says this fella will take on, and he won't be daunted by the number 10 jersey at Liverpool. He wouldn't be daunted at the number 8 jersey at Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? Like, Enzo Fernandez, excellent in that World Cup as well. Goes to Chelsea, is a good player. Take a bit of time to adapt, but he will be a good signing for them. But he has the weight of 100 million or whatever the fuck they paid for him to deal with as well. Everything about this is just going to be great. But is it, as on the pitch, what you expect to see? Similar to going back to the days of Genie, he won't be as mobile as Genie will, but he will be better with the ball than Genie was. And Genie was great with that. You know, Genie's close control, similar to what we're seeing with Gakpo now. Very, very good with the ball. Doesn't give it away much, but he's going to move us up the pitch quicker. He's going to join the midfield to the attack. He's going to play, as Seany said, in the 8. He can play in the 10. He can play in the 6. He can play anywhere. I know people will say he doesn't play 6, but he can.
Oh, I've lost both the lads. They just fell off the screen. I don't know what's going on there. Hold on, we get Keith to join them back in here. Let me see. I'll have to wait for 1 second to get the boys back in. Hold on. Sorry, Keith. Hold on. Don't know what happened there. Keith,
What?
are you back? Sorry, I don't know what happened. You just both fell off the screen.
Yeah.
What
I was
were you
in
saying?
mid-rant. I was
You were
doing
in
well.
mid-rant,
I was
you were
in
flying.
flow. Where I stopped. I don't know where I got kicked off. But no, he's going to be, McAllister's going to be amazing in that midfield. If he signs, look, nothing's been announced yet, nothing's been agreed yet. You don't want to be assuming that it's going to go through, but all indicators are that he's going to sign for Liverpool. And what you're going to get out of him, you're going to get a player in that will be able to link, along with the other players we're linked with as well. The profile of player we're bringing in here is going to be interesting for me, and I just think there's going to be enough quality to get us back to where we were. We always speak about enablers in midfield, and Jordan Henderson was the ultimate enabler in midfield, and he doesn't have it anymore. James Milner has moved on. Genie obviously is gone. We still have Fabinho there, but these are the type of players that we need to replace. And while people may not like them players, they've done a great job for us, and this is getting in there, but with a bit more quality. As you said earlier, and we touched on the Lallana interview, Luka Modric, I'm not saying he's like Luka Modric as a player, but that type of player, you don't have to be, you know, a big powerhouse runner. You don't have to be the fastest sprinter. You don't have to be scampering over the ground. You can be clever with the ball. You can be clever in your head, and that means you don't have to do a lot of running. And I just think every time he's had to step up to the plate, this fella, he's done it. And he's done it without any... you know, even if you go back, where he plays in Argentina for Argentinos Juniors, not the biggest team in Argentina, but he's there. It's a feeder club. Boca Juniors want him. He goes to Brighton. He goes back on loan to Boca. The Argentinians are mad for him. But he's just taking that step every way. Step up to the national team. Steps into the World Cup. Essentially, I thought he was probably the man of the match. I won him in the final. I thought he was great.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, so he stepped up.
Excellent
He
in the World Cup.
constantly steps up to the thing, and that's why we keep saying about the pressure. I can't see many
if you want to
down points.
If you want to see him personified in a goal, look at the second goal in the World Cup final, Argentina. Look at how instrumental he is to that. He's striking back, disrupts the play, ball breaks out, gets popped into him, pops around the corner to Messi, like unbelievable technique. Then peels off the runner, gets into space, and plays in Di Maria for the goal. Just look at it. Honestly, if the roles had ever in reverse, and now in fairness, Messi's little flick out to the line is ridiculous, but it's Messi like what he does in terms of the control play off spin into space. Like he causes havoc. He's a fucking brilliant player. He's honestly like I said, I reckon nobody would have had any quarrels if Liverpool had paid 70 million euros for him. It would have been like, right, fair enough. But the player we're getting at the price now, I'll be the first to tell you, I think prices are superficial, but it does make a difference in a way that, like Keith said, Enzo Fernandez, there's not 100 million fucking question hanging out about everything he does. You know, like, he will slip into that team like no other. I'd like, literally, all the players we're linked to, if we signed them all, for like, we signed Kone, Thuram, Vega, I'd have the least worries about Mac Allister fitting in, because I just know he can do it. He's done it at the highest level, and he'll kick on in this team. He's a player who will improve himself whilst improving the team.
Yeah,
I just think it's a great signing. I'm delighted it's done, and he seems like a sound little fucker as well, which always helps. You know what I mean?
it does.
Love his laugh.
It does.
Ricky,
yeah, 100%.
Ricky Gallagher says goal threat, 5 to 10 goals next season from Alexis Mac Allister, and that's
doesn't even
as
have
I said,
to be that though.
No, it doesn't have to be, but I think that's where the bonus comes from. Where he plays for Brighton, probably a bit more forward for Brighton than he would probably start for Liverpool, but the goal threat is there on top of. I think he's a perfect midfielder for a functioning midfield, but he just has that bit extra. And like I've said, I've only learned that bit extra in the last couple of months, because when I seen him in the World Cup, when I first watched him properly, it was all about the work rate, the tactical awareness to play in that Argentina side and get the best out of it. 35-year-old Messi, whatever he is, I just thought was excellent. People are reporting there, and there must be an issue with YouTube, because that's what dropped the two lads off the screen, and they're saying that the YouTube is stalling a little bit with the chat. It's YouTube server, it's not ours. What we host is on. I've checked, it's at perfect speed, so it's a YouTube issue. But there's 500-600 people watching here. There's 180 likes, so hit that button. If you're happy with Alexis Mac Allister signing, let's get that to 200 or 300. The reclaimer wants 200. He did want 300 earlier, but listen, keep hitting the like button. It helps us a lot. And subscribe. And if you are subscribed, stick on the bell icon, because every time we go live, you'll know about it, and it'll help you during the summer, because the shows are a bit all over the place throughout the summer, so it will help you. It looks like that deal is done. Somebody said earlier, it might have been Paul Gormley said earlier, apparently there's a video of him going into the AXA. Now, I read earlier that he was fucking in America somewhere, but I don't really care where he is. Yeah, I don't really care where he is once he's doing the medical and we can get all this sorted. But
the talk is that the medical is on tonight and seem to be corroborated as well.
Yeah, so. and the contract has already been agreed, and whatever trigger was there in the contract or the transfer is also being done as well. So it's cool. Ravishing Rick Rue says, "I'll hit nothing but the bottle." You just keep building that arch, Ravishing Rick Rue. Don't worry about it. Anyway,
fucking Noah's Ark.
O'Sheen says it's not your fault. I've been happening for 2 weeks for some reason. It's the YouTube service. It's 100% not ours. Because if it was, I would have dropped off screen. So Mac Allister looks done. It's a great start to the summer, but we're hungry for more. And it's not just a selfish greed. It's we're hungry for more because we want to see Liverpool get business done early, and we want to see. I think 3 midfielders is perfectly gettable, and possibly a centre back, and that I think the centre back thing will come as a bit of a surprise at some stage. But, Seany, who's next? Because we're looking at Kev from Thuram, Manu Kone, who were on Instagram, I think, earlier. You can explain that to me. Gabriel Vega from Celta Vigo, who, apparently linked with Newcastle. Liverpool are meant to be interested. Chelsea now are meant to be interested. There's meant to be a lot of interest in this kid as well. It kind of shows to me, Seany, that we're definitely looking to bring in 3. Where do you stand on these 3 names at the minute? How far do you think they are? Which one would you go for? Because I think
Romeo Lavia getting a lot of heat as well.
Yeah, Lavia's getting a bit.
I think he's too expensive.
But Seany, we seen Kone was well down the line apparently. Then it was Thuram. Then Vega comes in. Kone kind of disappears. Thuram comes to the forefront. Where are you on all of these? Because I like the Mac Allister one. These ones, risk is probably the wrong word, but yeah, I'm going to say I think they're a bit more of a risk.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's not a risk. I think it's more of an unknown because they're both one's from League One and the other one is in the Bundesliga. But I'll go off what Joyce's article because Joyce is literally the only one who not that it's holy gospel. I think Joyce just fucking drops a bit of transfer knowledge, goes out and walks the dog, and doesn't give a bollocks really what he comes back to. He's not chasing clout around, but he mentioned Thuram in the article in the same breath he talked about Mac Allister. So it suggests that there is legs in that. And then I've seen David Lynch as well, who I like his style of journalism as well. I seen David Lynch mentioned Thuram today, and it looks like there's definitely been contact at least with the representative. So I think it'd be one of the. I'd be happy with any of them, but it's just what's racking my brain now is I'm not sure whether it's got. And I'm with you, they might do 3 midfielders. They might even do 4. I've seen people mention that they might do 4 midfielders, and it's possible one of them might leave that we have on the books at the moment. But I'd have a feeling that Thuram may be further down the line. Now that's not me being a fucking bedroom.
No, that's just you.
Followers.
That's what you're feeling.
It's just me go just based on what Joyce has said and others that I have a feeling that Thuram might be possibly for, and that's probably our hope as well, Gav, to be honest with you, because he's one I really, really like the look of. And I think he's one who could really explode. I've not seen much of the Kone lad, but they're both off to play in a France under 21 for France and an under 21 tournament. So I'd imagine if it's either or about, the club will be looking to get them racked up. And I think this could be similar to the couple of summers ago when we signed Thiago, and then it was just like, oh yeah, and here's Diogo Jota, by the way, coming in the door behind him. So, I'm thinking it could be Thuram. The Gabby Vega one it's fairly straightforward. I think if Liverpool are interested in him, they'll get him because he's a relatively low buyout. And I think when buyouts come into it, deals are a lot easier to be done. We've seen it, for example, with Mac Allister. He has a release clause apparently, so it takes away that negotiation thing. And when it's low buyouts, there's not much negotiation to be done because I don't think structures really come into it. I think his buyout is 35 million euros, Gabby Vega. Obviously, there's going to be plenty of suitors, and I'm sure some of them could offer him Champions League football and more wages, but a chat with Klopp normally sorts something like that out. So, if you had a gun to me head, I'm saying Thuram. It could be next off the line, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Kone either. But the talk has kind of gone a little bit quiet on Kone the last couple of days.
Which doesn't mean an awful lot, because it could just go quiet and then it could happen.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, exactly. But Thuram is one I look at and go, fucking hell, like this fella could literally be one of the best in the world. He's absolutely brilliant. And if we don't get him, he's gone somewhere else. That's fact. So I'd imagine Liverpool have a fucking, like we said, I think we have all our ducks in a row. And they're just going to tick them off. We are seeing now, we're seeing more of a consistency in the profile. Like Gabby Vega is 6'2", can carry the ball. He's more attack minded than he is, but he can play both ways. Thuram is a big unit, and I believe Kone is very physical. So there does seem to be someone that we're profiling. It does look a bit different to the links to Mason Mount. Now, I'm not going to sit here and be salty, but I think I'm in the belief that Mason Mount would have been a good signing for Liverpool at the right price. But it does seem like we're profiling a specific type of player to go in there and play that midfield. And by specific type of player, I mean a big fucking horsebox who has the ability to play the ball. Because that does look exactly like what we're trying to do. So,
Ugarte was another reason. That's another reason why Ugarte was as well.
Yeah, and I'd imagine, and again, like just fucking pure guesswork, I'd imagine Liverpool definitely had an interest in Ugarte, but apparently I'd imagine that the conversation went something like, yeah, he's a 60 million release clause, and Spawn are just like, we want it all up front, and Liverpool are just, they're not going to do that. They won't do that. Like, we'll leave that up to the PSGs and the Chelseas to sanction those types of deals. I seen linked to Caicedo. Honestly, I love Caicedo, but for 100 million, I'd be more comfortable with us signing both Kone and Thuram, to be honest with you. But I think it's the profile, the age I'm looking at. We spoke on numerous pods about how Liverpool have, and I think neglect is a strong word for fucking football. I think football is not that serious, but I do think they overlooked the midfield issue, and we've done a really good job of replacing the forwards. I think with Gakpo and Núñez going in there and Luis Diaz, but I think if you're signing Kone, Thuram, Mac Allister, you might not be ready to go for a title fucking challenge next year. You might if they hit the ground running, but what you're definitely doing is you're future proofing your midfield, and you're covering a lot of bases there, which is brilliant, and it's exactly what we wanted. So with the names you've been linked with so far, I'm very, very happy and excited.
It's Keith. We've spoken about Mac Allister, and Liverpool possibly putting in the groundwork there for, I would say, 6 months. I've seen someone in there saying that they've been working on it since February. And I don't think that's too far off the mark. Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool do that where they just turn up at the start of June and go, right, Jurgen, who will we go for? Julian Ward hasn't been sitting, collecting his wage every week and playing fucking solitaire. Do you know what I mean? So, we've seen links to Gravenberch, Ugarte, Bellingham, of course, Mount. There's been loads of different names thrown around. Kone, Thuram are the latest to come out. The Gabriel Vega one is very kind that just popped up. Thuram and Kone have been linked. Because I remember us speaking about them a little while ago, Keith. So if we presume that Liverpool have put that work in Mac Allister and have identified, like Seany have said, a certain type of player, you'd be hopeful that they've done the same amount of groundwork on a Thuram or a Kone. And I'm not too worried about this under-21s tournament. I don't even know where it's being played. But like, Liverpool wouldn't have a problem showing up there and saying, right, listen, we need him for X amount of time to do a medical. All the players are allowed to do that during tournaments. They just are. Do you know what I mean? Would you be confident, Keith, that if it is two more, that Thuram and Kone could be it? The groundwork has been there. They've been identified. A good mix of what we have already, future-proofing a little bit. And would you be excited about both of them?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as I said, Julian Ward hasn't been sitting on his fingers for the last 6 months. You know what I mean? Not doing any groundwork. It's all being laid. These targets are there for months in advance, and it's not off the back of just one performance. People say, right, Darwin Núñez played well against Liverpool, but he was on the radar well before that. I think these two lads, I think the Thuram one is further along here, because I think, and maybe I'm just being an optimist and a bit of a conspiracy theorist, but the fact that Jörg Schmadtke's son is the sporting director of Mönchengladbach, they might have that one on a little listen. We'll get this one boxed off, and then we'll come back to you. You hold tight with him, but we'll get that done. I just think the Thuram one is more urgent, because I think he has all the tools just to be absolute top of the pops, because he is a beast. He is 6'4", runs around, good on the ball. Absolutely everything that you want to get into the Liverpool squad. Now, he's still only a young guy, what's he, 22?
Yep.
Same with Manu Kone.
Yep.
Two young lads, similar profile of players, but it gives what fans have been crying out for a long time in the Liverpool midfield has been, they haven't had legs. Well, these two boys have legs, and these two boys will give you an engine, and these two boys, but that's not to damn them with faint praise and say that's all they have, because they've more than that.
From what I've seen at Thuram, it's running power fine, but his ability on the ball looks amazing, Keith.
Excellent for a big lad, like,
Yeah.
and that's the way, you know, we all remember, you know, a few years ago, if you were 6'4", you were a big stock in the show, or you were just a big fella who just goes through people. You weren't taking touches and all, and that's all changed. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Haaland's about 6'5", Zlatan, all these fellas. The height thing now, you can still be a baller and be 6'4" or whatever. And I just think he suits everything that we need. I think he's I think when you add them in, right, so let's say, for example, we look at getting Mac Allister, Thuram and Kone, right, whether we get them three or not, let's say we take them and you're adding them to the old players, that's Fabinho, Henderson and Thiago, and then you're looking at Curtis Jones, Stefan Wojciech, Harvey Elliott possibly, and the numbers of players there. Now, I know some of them have their injury issues, the older players certainly in that group have their injury issues, but by bringing in young, fit players, you're taking the stress off the other players. You're freeing up a Jordan Henderson. You're freeing up Thiago. That you're just using them when you need to use them and you're not over-reliant on them. So to get energy and legs in there, that's why a lot of the players we're linked with are suiting that profile. You know, even Mason Mount, who gets stick, I think Mason Mount's a very good player, and I think he carries out instruction and he does what he's told to do, and them type of players are pretty valuable as well. So I think we know I'm not surprisingly, we know what we're doing here, and I think Klopp is building what he wants for the new Liverpool, the Klopp's Liverpool 2.0. And, you know, if we can get another, if let's say, right, we get Mac Allister announced tomorrow, let's say, I don't know, I'm not an ITK, I don't have inside information on this. Let's say we announce Mac Allister tomorrow, and if we get another one in quickly after that, sets us up lovely. Do you know what I mean? It sets us up because Schmatke's son is going to do us a solid on the other fella so we can get him in. But you get your business done early, and that allows you then to sit back and say, right, what else do we need? Gabri Veiga, to me, and someone said it in the chat there, could be seen as a Mo Salah replacement because he does play, I think, off the right-hand side of an attacking. Now, he's not a right winger, you know what I mean? But it's sort of a right attacking midfielder. You know, so it's not like you're buying him and you're, you know, there's a log jam in the centre of the midfield. He may not be looking to play there. Do you know what I mean? So these links are interesting, and a lot of them are coming out in places that, well, they may not be the most reputable. Like we say all the time, Paul Joyce is the one we always look to. So we're not going to go to some generic L'Equipe article and say, oh, L'Equipe are always right. You know, they're not. Do you know what I mean? And could be anyone that wrote it. But a lot of the links to these players are from reputable papers. Do you know what I mean? And you look at them and you're thinking, maybe there is something in this. I wouldn't be surprised if he signed the trade him, to be honest. Like on top of Mac Allister, I wouldn't be surprised if they went blading absolute gangbusters and just said, right, there's the midfield done. Worry about the defence now and see where we are. Because it's good to get it done, you know, get it done early. It's why you stepped away from Bellingham. We can't get this done. We're not going into a blading a gunfight for this fella. Let's get on and get our targets. And well, we're all sick about that at the time. We move on and we see who we do get in the door, and we look at what the new Liverpool will be like then. But I'm excited for that, I have to say.
Can I just say something, Gav, before you carry on?
Yeah.
Keith's ability to pronounce mental names is fucking right up there with with fucking George Hamilton.
Especially after the weekend the drink he's had.
It's Keith just sits there watching George in Premier League all week, fucking trying to pronounce players on George Schmack. It's quality. You should be doing grinds at or something because I'd pay. I'm not going to lie to you.
There you go.
You should get a job at the Olympics. You know, at the Olympics when they have to keep naming all the athletes. You'd be deadly at that, Keith. But if you are offered the job, tell me you're not doing it from some room in RTE. You want to be over at the event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Big lanyard hanging out.
Fanny Schmeller, the German ski jumper.
Yeah. Dylan O'Rourke says, I seen a recommendation on Vega that I love. Word that Thiago won't get another contract with 1 year left. Vega doesn't need to be registered under 21. Slots straight into the Thiago spot for next year. That's you know, you do have to think about these things, and I've said it before.
Yeah.
3 midfielders this summer is not going to fix your midfield, right? And what I mean by that is you have to look at midfield in the context of 8 or 9 bodies, right? And I think when you get to next summer, you're going to question 2 or 3. I think you're going to question Fabinho. You're going to Henderson and Thiago, and they're going to have to be replaced. You know what I mean? No matter how well you do this summer, you're going to have to do more next summer. And maybe, people are saying Bellingham next year, blah, 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 blah. We don't know. Liverpool have to be a massive fan of that player. But like you said, if we're being bandied around at whatever amount of money plus mad money for agents on top, maybe Liverpool didn't fancy that. It's looking like if you signed Kone and Thuram along with Mac Allister, you're looking at about 100 million outlay on those three players. But you're probably going to have to do the same again in a year's time. Let me see, 650 people watching, 262 likes. So keep smashing the like button. Once we get over 300, we leave you alone. So just hit it, and it'll take you a second. But look,
one thing on that before we move off, Gav. I think if you do your future proofing right now, next season you don't have to spend that big, because you do replace your Henderson, Fabinho's and your Thiago's, and you might only need to do one player. Do you know what I mean? The problem we've had is we haven't been future proofing. We've been letting it go stale and go stagnant. So we look at let's say we bring those three lads in now, or even four if you look at Gabby Vega, and then you bring in Bajcetic, who's only 19. Curtis Jones only 22. Harvey Elliott, well, not everyone's a fan, is only 19 or 20. Trent Alexander-Arnold we're at 24. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's young players in there. And I think the problem we've had is that we let everyone get to 30, 31 or run their contracts down, and we've left too much of a shit show. Now, the defence next season could be a blatant cataclysmic shake up there as well. But let's wait and see. But I just think, there's big work to do. But I think if you do your business well and it's successful now, you save on it in future.
Couple of things. Few people, including Tom, says it must be a late night for Mac Allister. Pictures of the van that the new players were brought in, and the van that he was apparently pictured in is still outside the exit. So I don't know. He might be knocking off the lights. He might be the last man out tonight. Thor says Neil Mopey.
You're going to bring Gladen Finney O'Connor in for a cup of tea.
Finney O'Connor in a tent. Neil Mopey reckons Thuram to Liverpool is done. Mopey, the Liverpool ITK, says Thor. Anto, I love this one. He says, if we ended up with 4 midfielders this summer, it's some window from Schmatke. Is that his name? Schmatke? Yeah. It's on a par with Everton when they won it a few years back. So yeah, listen, we could win the transfer window and Everton would be going bleeding mad. Wolf Crew with a super chat says, if they also sign Kone or Thuram, how would they line up tactically next season? Gakpo and Núñez surely have to partner in a front two. No, I think I see Liverpool going back to a 4-3-3. I think that's what he wants to do, and with the players that he has there, and especially the likes of, say, if you want to play Fabinho in a 6, or you want to do Bajcetic in a 6, and Henderson wants to play a bit further forward, but his minutes are reduced, I think a 4-3-3 suits. But you can go 4-2-3-1. There's no problem. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And we've been cheating with the whole Trent thing anyway. You know what I mean? It's been a 3-2-5.
I think what's worth noting is, like, you need to think of the lay of the land next year in terms of the competitions we're playing in. Yeah. Like, there's going to be plenty of games there to be playing people, and like, people worrying about the home ground. There's people on fucking crazy amounts of money inside the club who have to worry about these things, and they don't seem panicked about it. So I wouldn't worry about it. But I get what you mean, and like, is there going to be a change of system? It could literally just be a case where you're saying to Kone, look, you're going to play Europa League games, we're going to build you up, and then next year Fabinho is going to have another year in his legs, and I think he's gone into the last year of his contract, and then it gives you a little bit of movement there to say, all right, are we moving Fabinho into a squad role and Kone, you're a starter? And that's the way it's going to be. And I'd imagine a lot of them are tuned in. Like, they're not stupid, these lads coming in. They know exactly what they're coming into. The talk is that Thuram's outfit is pushing him in the direction of Liverpool, and that's good stock. You know, like Lillian Thuram played at the fucking top level of the game from the day he came in till the day he left. He'll know exactly what it takes to get to the top of the game and stay at the top of the game. And if he sees Liverpool as a good move for Kefram Thuram, and Thuram and Kone are really close, like, do the maths. Yeah, like, it's, don't get me wrong, it's a pain in the bollocks not being in the Champions League next year. But you bet your fucking bottom dollar that lads still want to go and play under Klopp, because at the very least, you're going to be playing to the best of your abilities. if you're the right type of player. And I think these are the right type of player. And I think that's unfortunately what's happened to Fabio Carvalho, is that he probably may have been the right type of player in a different system at a right time, but we were just a shit show last year and we couldn't accommodate him. So it's just one of them things. So, like, let's be honest, fucking, it's all good reading. Like Gav said, we're getting in exactly what we need when we need it. And look, it may require a big spend now coming down the line, but that's grand. If you only have to buy one or two players every summer, you're doing okay. We've allowed ourselves into this position now where
we need four or five.
Yeah. And look, I'll bring her up because people are going, it's not Jude. Yeah, it's unfortunate it's not Jude because we fucked up in previous windows. If this had been a summer where you only needed to sign two players, I've no doubt we'd mind by getting Bellingham. I don't think that's a fucking far cry to say that. But too much needs to be done now. And if you turn around telling me, hindsight, I know it's fucking 2020, it's brilliant, but if you tell me you won't get Bellingham, but you're going to end up with Mac Allister, Thuram, Kone, and possibly one other, and a centre-back, I'm going, right, you know what? That'll do. And that's all we can fucking kind of hope for, getting the right players in at the right time. And I feel like that's exactly what we're doing now. So, look, I'm not worried about homegrown and fucking who's going to play where or who's going to play there.
I do worry.
We're giving Klopp the tools to do what he does best, and that's coach. Klopp is a fucking brilliant coach, and I'm sure he'll love working with these players. So I'm not worried.
I do worry about the homegrown stuff more. Who we gonna lose rather than who we bring in, but like you said, there's loads of people in that club that they're not that their job is to look at who's on the list, but like everyone knows how it works way more than we do. There was someone in our Telegram group, I think, that explained it all to us, and it was so much reading in it. But you know, it was good to read, and it kind of eases your fear of, oh, what about this, what about that? But there's so many permutations around under 21s, and you know how long they're there, and there's loads going on. But the club are not going to leave themselves. They may leave themselves with the name a 24-man squad, but then they've under 21s to fill it. That's absolutely fine. It's not like they're going to go in and go, oh, by the way, everyone we have totals 22. And you're going to go, what? You know what I mean? When you have 24 that you can put into a squad and then add in under 21s that are really, really good, that's absolutely fine. Sorry, a few people have asked, and I forgot about it earlier, have asked about the situation with the PGA and live golf and stuff like that. They're asking because, you know, I play golf. I'm not going to comment on it tonight. I won't be making any official statements on it tonight. But sorry, I'm only messing with you. No, there should be a new golf video out tomorrow on Bang Average Golf. I want to tell you that. But me and Neely, I think, are recording tomorrow, so we may sit down and have just a chat around that without playing any golf. We might have a chat around that because I think it's just utter fucking madness. But we'll get to that tomorrow. Look, we've a few minutes to go. We're 7 likes off 300, so the reclaimer will be delighted with that if we can get us over the line there. Just hit that like button, as we say. But lads, you know, they're all names. We've seen so many names throughout the summer. Like I said, we've seen Gravenberch, we've seen Mount, we've seen Bellingham. We're seeing these lads now. But it all seems to be very intense, very early. Keith, do you get the feeling, you know, that Klopp does want to go? He's taking more responsibility on transfers, we know this. But do you get the feeling that, coupled with what they've announced for pre-season, which is 2 games, I think, in Singapore, maybe 1 game, or 2 games in Singapore, and then a couple in Germany, or against German sides and stuff like that. So far, it's very kind of light on what they're doing in pre-season. Do you feel that he wants to get this done early, out of the way? Nothing else is taking his focus from the middle of July to the start of August, where he has this team ready to go and in the proper condition, because he made mistakes last summer with regards to transfers, and he made mistakes with regards to the build up to the season. He wants to get this done early, Keith. He doesn't want this hanging on last week of July. We're starting in a week and we're still going, where's this midfielder? Wants to do it early, Keith. Has to.
He always works like that, doesn't he? That he wants it early. And then I think a couple of weeks ago, didn't he say they may not be in the door in time for the first day? But I think he might be just throwing that out there. If we believe the reports that are happening here, We get one in the door now. There's another one closer. I think they'll look to get as much of it done as they can for first days of pre-season because, last season was a shit show, Gav. There was too many matches. There was too compressed. It was all scattergun, and it just fell on its arse. I think Klopp would rather have, training in Germany or Switzerland or France or wherever he loves to go and get them in and just run the bollocks off them for as many days as possible rather than jetting out to, these tours, which are, the club has to do them. Fans can get the hump over that if they want, but the club have to really do these tours now. A couple of games in Singapore probably isn't the worst that could happen, but just get them out, get them back and get them straight into training. And there's no way he's going to want, no disrespect to the lads that were there last season, but there's no way he's going to want to just do the bulk of his pre-season with all them lads minus the fellas who've left. Do you know what I mean? He's going to want bodies in there because we always said it before, a player comes into Liverpool, look at Fabinho, look at Andy Robertson, they don't go in the team straight away. They take time to adapt. Darwin Núñez takes time to adapt. Cody Gakpo took time 2 weeks to adapt. There's not an easy straight in. So he's going to want to get them in as soon as possible to adapt to how he wants to play because I don't know where... I think Alexis Mac Allister is going to play off the right-hand side of a tree. That's where I think he plays. Right? I think he's going to go in there where Henderson has been playing. But he's going to have to learn an awful lot of shit about doing that for Klopp. So the sooner he can get him in, the better. Manu Kone, and what I've seen of him, he's a bit raw. So they're going to want to get him in and shape him as much as possible. Thuram, Lillian's young fella, again, is a young fella, a very skillful lad, but I don't know if we're going to be looking for him to be carrying the ball and doing little pirouettes and skating through the midfield. So they might want to get him in and they might be looking at his role slightly different. So I'll be curious to see where they all play, but I think Klopp will want them in as soon as possible. He won't want to be left hanging and hopefully will not. We've said all along, and I know Seany's always been dubious and sceptical, it has to be a big summer by FSG here because there's too much work to do and they have to get it done early. We cannot leave the shit to go and then end up with an Arthur Mello. Do you know what I mean? The ghost of Arthur Mello will haunt them and us for the rest of their days.
Yeah, the 13 minutes of Arthur Mello. But, Seany, the thing is, right, we want to get it in early, but this isn't like a summer where, like you said earlier, we need 4 or 5. Like Keith just said, it's a big summer from FSG and Klopp because we know he's taking on more responsibility with regards to transfers, right? But this isn't we need 3 or 4 in the door to make up the numbers because, we're brilliant. We've lost a few fringe and this is a season where we're bringing lads in and we think those 3 midfielders, 2, if not 3, could possibly start on the opening day of the season. So he has to get them in, he has to get them right, and he has to get them ready to go because if we don't, going on all the evidence we've had of the season just gone, we're going to struggle in transition. We're going to struggle with teams winning second balls near their own goal and hurting us from there, which hurts our centre-backs, hurts our full-backs, wherever it might be. So as much as maybe next summer you go, bring 1 or 2 in and we get ourselves back on the right plane this summer, it's huge that we get it done early, in my opinion. We have to get them in. We have to get them ready to go. I understand Keith's point about Fabinho and Robertson, but at the time we were okay at left back, we were okay in midfield. But this looks like we have to fix this, Seany. And we haven't got until September, October, November to go, he's ready. I don't think we have.
Yeah, and I think obtainability is going to be a big factor again in the recruitment. I think it's going to be very important in the recruitment. Like, for example, I think one that if he had a kicked already and screened to get out of Munich, I think Gravenberg would have been way further along. But that looks like something that could come at the back end of the window. And maybe Klopp's not prepared to take that chance. So he's probably profiled Thuram, Vega, Kone in that sense is like, these are 3 players who I really like, who can make a difference in this team and that I know I can have on the training ground in the second week of July, who I know I can pick in the second week of August to go into my team. I don't think he's going to wait. Now, I know he said the opposite the other day in his press conference in terms of taking 6 or 7 weeks. But I think in terms of a defensive target, you might be able to go, right, the back end of the window, we might be able to get one of them because we're okay there. And if I bind a defensive target, it's basically based on the durability of the lads you have already there. But, like, fucking permitting you're not playing 2 pre-season games in a row the way we did fucking last year, you shouldn't have any injuries really going into the new season, and we'll learn from that mistake. So the thing is, I think it's going to be one of them things where the obtainability of players early is a big factor. Like, we're not going to spend fucking 6 to 8 weeks haggling for the likes, like, just for a Mount. I think Mount is the perfect example. Chelsea only want 80 million. Liverpool are just going, fuck that. Yeah. Well, we're not going to pay. We're not even going to pay a half of that. So we're not going to sit around trying to barter you down. We'll just move on, because I think that, like you said, we need lads to go into the team now. And although they are young lads, like, they have enough ability to go in and make a difference in that team. So it's going to come down to, I think that's definitely going to factor into it. And I think they could be like buses, the signings now. Like, Mac Allister could be tomorrow, and then you could have 2. And that's the way Liverpool do business. And we're the envy of so much for that reason. And I was watching Neil Jones on Anfield Rap, and I think someone said it in the chat earlier as well. It's like, you can never be critical of Liverpool when they do the business they do, because they normally get, regardless of what they pay or the player, they normally get it done at the right time. I think the biggest criticism you could have is that they don't do the business often enough. But one thing you can say is, when the business is done, it's normally done in time and we're ready to go. So, again, just another thing that makes me excited, because I just know that it looks like 90% chance that Mac Allister is revealed tomorrow, and we're watching the videos and we're consuming content at a fucking ungodly level. They will be working on the next, and while they're looking into the next and sorting all that other stuff, media stuff out, they'll be working on the next. I just feel that potentially we might wait until the back end of the window to do a defender and check the lay of the land and exactly how much we've spent on midfielders. Now, I know people won't like hearing that, but I think the priority is midfield. I do see the importance in the defender, but I think it's important we have at least three midfielders in there on the first day of the season, because you know the lads at the back. Again, we spoke again, where midfield in front of them, the lads at the back won't need to be as hardy or hustle as they were last year. But I do think we'll be killing 2 birds with one stone by bringing in a defensive player this window, and it's something I can definitely see them doing, potentially at the back end. But again, we could be fucking on this pod in 2 weeks, and we're like, you're getting the Joyce, you're getting the Paul Joyce article where it's Liverpool have done that business. It's 3 midfielders and a centre back, and they don't expect to do any more business in the window, because that's it's always been that case. Like, you will literally get the brief where the last one comes in and they're like, that's it. And it'll be no more expected in terms of
lock the doors.
And that's when you'll know. When you'll know. So, like, I'm optimistic. Like I did say, I don't see the big 200 million outlay that so much is promised. But I don't care if it's not a 200 million outlay if we get the right players. I really don't care. If you're looking at the players, if you get the right players in, it doesn't fucking matter what you spend on them, because it doesn't always equate to doing the best business. Like, you know, like, we spent more money than we should have last summer on one player. I'm not digging him out, because I do think he can come good. You know what I mean? Darwin Núñez. It's not about spending 70, 80 million on every player. If you can get the right deals done, then you don't need a fucking 200 million outlay. And that's what initially got Liverpool to the top of the fucking pile. You know what I mean?
You could possibly
by being clever. So that's the way I look at it.
You could possibly do your 3 midfielders and a defender for about 150 to 160. But if we're all honest with ourselves, I think, anyway, if we're doing the absolute right player, that goes over 200 million, and you do Bellingham if you can get him. That's just my opinion, because I think I've said it so many times. If you want the perfect midfielder for me for Liverpool right now, it's Jude Bellingham. And if that's
he's going to
McAllister,
Madrid though.
well, he might be. But if it's Bellingham and McAllister and a Thuram, you kind of go, yeah, I'm fucking bored with that. But then again, if it's McAllister, Thuram, Kone or something, you kind of go, okay, there's obviously a thinking behind that. Keith, are we going to be all watching Alexis Mac Allister's laugh on a loop tomorrow with the number 10 Liverpool jersey? Are you excited for it, Keith? Because it's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a grand
Yeah,
day to do, isn't it?
Yeah. Why not? Middle of the week, give you something to look forward to. Now, all the indicators are that it'll be done and there's a medical, and, I can't say, touch wood, whether there'd be any issues with a medical for Alexis Mac Allister, because durability is a huge part of his game. So I fully expect to see that announced tomorrow. And yeah, looking at Mac Allister content all along, like Donna Bates' finest, like Donna Bates will be hopping tomorrow if Alexis Mac Allister gets announced.
Yeah.
But it's one that I look forward to. And again, we spoke about it. He's a humble fella. He's not a big time Charlie. Like the videos of him going around Brighton with the World Cup medal, letting the kids get pictures with it. Like he seems like a nice guy. He's a good egg. Get him done, and then we can hoover up all that content tomorrow, and then make an insatiable thirst for the next one. And the next one after that, until Seany, as Seany says, we get the word that
until Ian Ayre is locking up at the exit and saying, we're out of here.
Well, it's usually months before that, but we always hang on and hope for the best.
Yeah, I know.
They told us it's not happening, but look, let's wait and see.
We'll wait and see anyway, yeah. Look, really good show. Enjoyed it. It's nice talking about a new signing on the verge of coming in, and possibly we've talked 3 or 4 players on top of that. Today is Wednesday. If Mac Allister is done, sorry, today is Tuesday, is it? Yeah, today is Tuesday. Yeah. If Mac Allister does happen, we'll try to do another show to announce Mac Allister. I don't know. We've more or less announced them tonight. I do know Chris and Kev are bringing you a show once a week right through the summer, where they're going to talk about Liverpool's great games. They've 2 cracking games to start with tomorrow. That should be with you tomorrow night at 10 o'clock live. We might Seany's ringing that bell again. He's had enough of us. We might bring in another transfer thing maybe Thursday or Friday night. But look, we're going to work on it on a week-by-week basis. The quiz will be back on Sunday. Emma is in the hot seat. He's going to host me, Seany and Keith, once Keith is now gargling again. We'll be doing the show on Sunday night. Keith had a lovely weekend, lads. A lovely weekend. Not able for it. Keeps doing it. Not able for it, but just keeps fucking doing it anyway.
No, but very active at the moment. Haven't been for a while. Last couple of weeks. Extremely active on the social scene.
Yeah, okay. He's been literally all over the world drinking this weekend. And by all over the world, I mean 2 counties in Ireland. But
it's like Anthony Bleeding Bourdain. He is going around everywhere. Yeah.
He's like the big Guinness scorer wandering around the gaff now, isn't he?
Falling around the place.
Anyway, that has been no transfer knowledge. Alexis Mac Allister looks like he'll be announced by Liverpool tomorrow as a Liverpool player. If you believe the rumours, the van is still sitting outside the exit. I don't know what they have him doing, but that's the latest rumour. Manu Kone, Kefran Thuram, Gabri Vega, all these lads we'll keep an eye on as we go, and we bring you these shows as we need to. But hopefully 1 or 2 transfer shows a week. Thanks to everyone for watching. There's loads in there tonight. He's got above the likes target that was set by the reclaimer, so he'd be delighted. And check out Chris and Kev tomorrow night, because that Liverpool great games. Like, who doesn't like talking about them? And they have got 2 belters. One from 2015-16, I think, and one from I can't remember the other one. It might be around 2013-14. I'm not too sure. But anyway, that's been it. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.